Welcome to Mentally Healthy. We're so glad you're here. We are very proud to welcome and introduce Innovative Products as the sponsor for today's video and content. IPP supports the ongoing mission of Mentally Healthy and our affiliations. As Innovative Products' tagline outlines, Mentally Healthy honors discovering the possibilities together.
Let's take a moment to relax and breathe. Today, we're going to learn and explore 10 things to know about the psychology of obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. People get ideas about mental illness from movies or TV shows, and popular culture often simplifies or even completely misrepresents what it is really like to live with mental illness. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, is no different. Many people associate their knowledge and understanding of OCD with popular TV shows, like The Big Bang Theory and Monk. Consequently, OCD may be one of the most misunderstood mental health conditions. Despite widespread usage of the word OCD in the media, obsessive-compulsive disorder is arguably one of the most misunderstood mental health conditions. The disorder gets characterized as a love of organization, cleaning, or a personality trait that everyone lives with, which is inaccurate on all accounts. In instances where OCD is portrayed correctly, we typically see a sliver of what the disorder entails: a person with contamination obsessions followed by handwashing and other visible compulsions. Erroneous and stereotypical presentations of OCD in popular culture contribute to the misdiagnosis of OCD, so let's really explore what it means to have OCD and the important facets of it. Join us as we explore 10 things to know about the psychology of obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. If you're ready, let's get started. Number 1. What truly is OCD? Let's start with a clear definition of OCD. The National Institute of Mental Health describes OCD as a common, chronic, and long-lasting disorder in which a person has uncontrollable, reoccurring thoughts, obsessions, and behaviors, compulsions, that he or she feels the urge to repeat over and over. These obsessions can focus on anything, and compulsions are often directly related to the obsessions. For example, if a patient is obsessing over a loved one's safety, he or she may feel the urge to text them every 10 minutes to make sure that loved one is okay. Number 2. Cleanliness is not the only thing OCD patients focus on. Some people mistakenly believe that if someone has OCD, they will be extremely neat and tidy. While some obsessions and compulsions focus on cleanliness, for example, compulsive handwashing in those who obsess over germs, many do not. Every person suffering from OCD experiences obsessions that are unique to them. Furthermore, the fact that someone seems to care quite a bit about keeping their home or apartment clean doesn't mean they have OCD. While excessive handwashing is a compulsion that people with OCD perform, it is one of a variety of mental and physical compulsions carried out. Avoidance of feared stimuli, reassurance seeking about obsessions, confessing of obsessions to others, compulsive prayer, mental compulsions, and other physical compulsions are common. Number 3. Is OCD treatable? OCD can significantly impact both the lives of those affected and their families, but help is available. First-line treatments are a specific type of cognitive behavioral therapy known as exposure response prevention, ERP, therapy and medication. In ERP therapy, patients, under the direction of a certified therapist, confront specific triggers that induce obsessive thoughts and work to reduce anxiety surrounding these triggers so that they do not feel the urge to perform the associated compulsion. Along with ERP therapy, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRI, are considered a first-line treatment option and have been effectively helping patients with OCD for nearly 3 decades. Number 4. Additional treatment options. While ERP and SSRIs are effective in a large proportion of patients, there are some patients for whom these first-line treatment options don't work. Fortunately, there are other options available. One of these options is deep transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. The treatment is non-invasive and has been shown to have very few side effects. Deep TMS treatment involves sitting under a helmet that delivers electromagnetic pulses to specific parts of the brain, which neuroscientists have been shown are associated with OCD. Patients who undergo deep TMS treatment go to their psychiatrist each day for 6 weeks. Study results show that patients who underwent this treatment saw a 30% reduction in symptom severity, and even 10 weeks after the treatment ended, patients showed further reduction in symptom. While deep TMS is often not the first choice of treatment, it is effective and can potentially help patients who haven't found success with other options. Number 5. Loving to organize is not a symptom of OCD. Egosyntonic versus egodystonic. Egosyntonic describes thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that someone feels in alignment with. Egodystonic describes thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that someone does not feel in alignment with. Have you ever heard someone say, "The thought of organizing a garage or a pantry really gets me horny and excited?" Being excited by the prospect of organizing large spaces, which indicates that the organization is egosyntonic, a psychological term used to describe thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are acceptable to a person. The person does not find such stimuli as problematic, but rather as a part of oneself that they align with. This is not OCD. In contrast, OCD is an egodystonic disorder. Obsessions, recurring intrusive thoughts, images, sensations, and urges are experienced as disturbing and unwanted. The person with OCD does not enjoy performing compulsions, physical or mental acts a person carries out in response to obsessions, but feels like they have to in order to alleviate anxiety, prevent something bad from happening, seek certainty about obsessions, etc. So, in simplified terms, people with OCD do not enjoy their symptoms. Number 6. Why people think that people with OCD love organization. Where does the idea that people with OCD love to organize come from? It is due, in part, to a misunderstanding of the actual symptoms of OCD. A person with OCD might experience just right or symmetry obsessions in which they feel the urge to do things or place things in a manner that feels internally right or perfect to them. This might look like a person needing to place a book in the right place, which usually causes them to compulsively move it again and again until they reach an internal feeling of rightness. This can be anxiety-provoking, time-consuming, and painful. Standing in front of the mirror and pulling one's socks up over and over and over again until they feel symmetrical, or moving and removing objects on one's desk is anguishing to the person with OCD. Such behavior is far from enjoyable. Number 7. People confuse OCD and OCPD. It is also due, in part, to confusion between symptoms of obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, and obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, OCPD. People with OCPD might be preoccupied with orderliness and have a rigid set of rules they apply to themselves and others, but the key difference is that people with OCPD are okay with their behavior and typically believe it to be acceptable. For people with OCPD, their beliefs and behaviors align with their sense of self and are not viewed as problematic, which is the opposite of the person with OCD who is distressed and impaired by their symptoms. Number 8. Everyone is not a little bit OCD. While we all experience an odd, unwanted thought from time to time or perform a behavioral ritual here and there, we do not all meet the criteria for OCD. OCD is not an adjective to describe being tidy or organized, but a noun that indicates a disorder someone lives with. To meet the criteria for the disorder, someone with OCD must experience obsessions and/or compulsions for at least an hour every day and have impairment in functioning because of the pervasiveness of their symptoms. Those with OCD do not experience just a passing intrusive thought but recurring intrusive thoughts, images, and urges that stick because of how their brain is wired. They also feel a strong urge to perform compulsions in the face of obsessions that the everyday person does not experience. It also noted that saying that everyone experiences OCD from time to time minimizes the severity of the disorder. Everyone is not a little bit OCD. Number 9. Mental compulsions are very possible. In the same manner that people perform physical behaviors in response to obsessions, those with OCD perform mental behaviors as well. It is possible for a person with OCD to experience obsessions and compulsions completely in their mind, making their suffering covert and invisible to others. They might not recognize that they are living with OCD if they believe the common misconception that compulsions are only physical, hand-washing, tapping, etc. A lack of understanding about mental compulsions can also have adverse therapeutic consequences if the therapist is not addressing them through response prevention. Examples of mental compulsions include thought neutralization, replacing unwanted thoughts with more desirable thoughts, rumination to analyze or solve the obsessions, mentally reviewing past experiences, mentally checking one's feelings and bodily sensations and purposely bringing on a thought to test one's response to it. Number 10. ERP is a frontline treatment for OCD. Exposure and response prevention, ERP, a behavioral therapy under the CBT umbrella, is the frontline treatment for OCD. This entails facing one's fears head-on through exposure and eliminating compulsions performed. Therapy should be behaviorally oriented, as one's response to obsessions, compulsions, is the crux of the problem. We are not in control of what pops into the mind, obsessions, but are in control of what we are doing in response to them, compulsions. Compulsions reinforce obsessions as important and dangerous, when they are unimportant false alarms, and reinforce the false notion that the only way to manage obsessions is to carry out compulsions, and people with OCD get trapped in a debilitating cycle. This concludes our video on the 10 things to know about the psychology of obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. This truly is a fascinating topic, but one that shouldn't be treated lightly. If this behavior is not targeted in therapy, the person suffering for it may remain trapped in their symptoms. Traditional talk therapy is not indicated for OCD for this reason, along with the fact that talking about the content of one's obsessions and trying to find meaning in them can be compulsive in and of itself. Compulsions are also excessive, fruitless, and unhelpful. They are not necessary to carry out, despite how strong an urge the person with OCD experiences and how real obsessions can feel. What questions about OCD do you have that we haven't covered here? While we just touched on a few key topics around OCD, please be aware that OCD truly needs a professional to aid in the diagnosis and treatment of this condition. Mindfulness skills training, acceptance and commitment therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy can be helpful adjunctive treatments. It is important to note that for some people, OCD is so severe that the individual cannot tolerate cognitive behavioral therapy without some help in reducing the intensity and severity of their symptoms. Please share with us your experiences in this area. If you or someone you know are experiencing symptoms of obsessive-compulsive disorder, please know there is help. Finding a therapist who truly specializes in the treatment of the disorder and understands how to treat it effectively is an important next step. Your friends here at Mentally Healthy support the American Psychological Association for finding a good therapist and ensuring you work with a qualified professional who has background and expertise that will benefit you and your specific needs. We are not affiliated with that organization and receive no special compensation for recommending them. We just recognize the importance of finding qualified professionals to help us when help is needed. Another great resource is also available for those that can take advantage of it. For all our viewers that reside in the United States, a hotline is available to act as an immediate response lifeline center for all suicide and crisis events. Just call or text the number 988. Local rates may apply to immediately be placed in touch with someone you can talk to. If you are an U.S. veteran or military service member, you may text the U.S. Veterans Crisis Line directly at 838-255. Both of these resources will also be placed in the description area of this video. Use these trusted resources as needed.
Well, that's all for today. Thanks so much for joining us at Mentally Healthy. If you've enjoyed our video, please like it, and consider subscribing to our channel, as we have lots of great new content in store for you. Subscribing, liking, and clicking the notification bell keeps you connected to us, and truly helps our channel grow. Here's a few other great videos from our channel you can visit right now. Until next time, stay mentally healthy.